Hey, what is up, you guys? This is Justin, and before I do get started, I wanted to thank you guys for making me a part of your day. This video will be bringing you guys just a quick tip on how to deal with teachers and bosses, but more importantly, how to impress your teachers and bosses. I was actually talking to a friend of mine, Noelle, and she recommended this to me, and I was like, you know what, that's a really good topic, so I'm going to go ahead and list off some things that you want to do. So if you're a student, I will kind of tell you ways how you can impress your teacher or your boss in general. Now, you got to think, like, impressing your teacher or your boss isn't, it's not that important, okay? Because a lot of people just don't care about stuff like that. But the reason why I'm telling you guys this is because there's certain nuances. Now, the word nuances means like little things that you don't really pick up on and you just don't get. And a lot of nuances are learned with experience. But since I have experience and you may not have experience, I wanted to tell you guys a few things that you can do to kind of impress your teachers or your boss, okay? Because a lot of you guys will be working, and a lot of you guys may not figure it out later. And if I know a lot more than I knew probably 5 years ago, and I think I could tell the younger version of myself a few things about, how to do this. So I wrote a few things down, just real quick. We'll try to keep this video as quick as possible. Try to give you guys, some tips. If you have any other tips, I want you guys to add them in the comments section below, and so we can have this discussion back and forth. Okay, so the first one, for your teacher, your boss, be early to your job or your school, anything like that. Now, I know a lot of you guys, here's the thing about being late, all right? And I know it doesn't really seem like this, but this is what a lot of people think when you're late, especially if you're in class or you're at work, okay? If you're late to work all the time, you're going to get fired. I mean, that's just what's going to happen, right? If you're late to class, you will get punished accordingly. I don't know what happens, in college or anything like that. But what it says is that, it's not like, I think a lot of like girls are like, yeah, well, I'm just late for everything. Or even guys do this too, and they're just late all the time. It's not like cute. That's the first thing you need to know. Like, haha, I'm late again. It's not that anymore, okay? So what it is that it's very selfish, okay? Because what it's saying is that, I know you're not specifically trying to say this, okay? But what it is saying is that your time is more important than whoever, because time is relative to wherever you're at, all right? So if you have to be somewhere at 8 o'clock, and I know a lot of you guys don't like waiting, but just be early, okay? If you're late, it's not so much that being early is important, it's just that being late is really super bad, okay? So if you want to impress your teacher or bosses, be early, okay? Because what it says is that if you're early, or if you're at least on time all the time, like 5 minutes early all the time, right? There's that stupid adage where it's like, if you're 15 minutes, you're on time. If you're 5 minutes early, you're late. And if you're on time, you don't even bother showing up. But I'm not even going to get that far. One of the things is that, I already forgot where I was going with this. Oh yeah, so what it says is that if you're never late and you're early, what it says to that person is that you're a reliable person. Okay, it's not so much like, because a lot of people will say what they want to do, and they'll say it and they'll give a lot of talk, but they'll never actually do the action, right? So by showing that you're early, that's how you impress your boss too, okay? Another thing too is that if you're, it's going to be more like for your boss, is that if you stay after, like if you're scheduled to work till 5, but you want to get your work done and you stay a little bit after, like people notice that. And I know like sometimes it seems like they don't, but they will notice that when the evaluations come around. Now, there might be other issues and other factors in there, but for the most part, I know at my school, I know who I can go to because they work hard and would know the answer, and I know who not to go to because they don't know anything, right? So as a teacher, or impressing your teacher or your boss, be there early, okay? The second part that I wrote was to... oh yeah, I wrote this last, but we'll go number 2 is to listen. Listen to what they tell you. A lot of times people don't listen, and that's one of the hard things about being a teacher and a boss, is that like you think like, let's say that I said my assignment to you was like, you need to go home and you need to write down 5 things that made you mad that day, right? And half the class probably will forget it, half the other class probably won't know what to write about, and so on. And that's really irritating. But I do know that there's a select few students that will, they just listen. They know everything, what to do. They know what to put down. Excuse me. They know what to write, know how to do everything like that. So if you're in a job and your boss is telling you to do something, you have to listen, okay? There's nothing more frustrating as a teacher, parent, or boss than having to repeat yourself, or having an employee that doesn't listen, because it seems like such an easy thing to do that it just really upsets a lot of managers. So listening is always very, very, very important, okay? Staying busy, that's another thing too. A lot of times when people get work done either in their job or at school, what's going to happen is that they'll just sit there and not do anything, okay? Like, you can sit there and not do anything and not sit there not doing anything, but what it does is that it shows a reflection of, like, I have to question whether or not your work was done well or done correctly. And it might be, it really might be done well, okay? And it's not a knock on you. It's just that if you're working that hard to sit there and do nothing, I assume that you're not doing it correctly, you're not doing what I told you to do, or you're just not doing a very good job in general. So that's one of those other things. Like at work, I would have, when I was a young kid, right, I'd have people just, they'd be told to do this project. Like, so it'd be like straighten out the section. I worked at a movie store, and you had to do the section and retitle everything. And what happens was that people would do the job, and then they'd come back and just sit there and not doing it. So they'd sit at the counter and not do anything. And then I'd go back, and so I have to check their work, and it was obvious that they did it very, very quick, right? And then they did everything, and they did almost everything wrong. So that leads me to my next point, which is going to be take pride in what you're doing, okay? So, like, whatever you're doing, and this is kind of the key part of today's video, is that being, like, when you do a good job, right, there's a difference between people that do a good job and people that, actually I said that wrong. There's a difference between what they do and who they are, basically, okay? So it's kind of like this. I'll use a metaphor here, like, we'll talk about integrity or telling the truth, okay? I'm a very big proponent on telling the truth. So I think you should always tell the truth. Sometimes it's not going to help, and sometimes it's going to hurt you, okay? But you should always tell the truth. But telling the truth shouldn't be something that you consciously have to think about. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, when somebody asks you a question, or you do something, or you're about to do something, you shouldn't have to think like, wow, is this honest or dishonest? So the point that I'm making is that it's not so much being honest as something you do. Being honest and having integrity as a person is who you are, okay? You understand? So like, you can tell the truth, but if it's ingrained in you and it's who you are as a person, then it's automatic, right? So when I go back to taking pride in doing a good job, there are people that are students that they won't, when they do their homework or anything like that, they'll redo their homework if it's not a good job. And it's not because they're trying to impress me. Like, they're not trying to do it for me. They're doing it for themselves because that's who they are. You understand? So doing a good job, being neat, being, the best that you can be at something isn't just something that you do. You have to actually give effort to think about it and do it. It's just who you are as a person. And when you start getting into that mentality from do to this is actually who I am, then it's going to make a lot of things easier. So when you take pride, if you want to do a good job at everything, like, do a good job for you. Don't do it for the person because somebody else will see it. Once you start doing it for yourself, people will notice that, okay? So video is going to already went over 8 minutes. So other than that, if you have any other tips on that, that's 4 quick tips for you guys. Be early, take pride in what you do, stay busy, and listen, okay? But if you guys want to put comments in the comment section below, I'd appreciate it if you like this video, please thumb up, and then follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. The links are in the description. I've been Justin. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.